Last week's parsha, Parshas Truma, discusses the Mishkan, its dimensions, and the dimensions of the various kelim, the utensils that were placed in the Mishkan. This week's parsha, Parshas Tezaveh, primarily talks about the garments worn by the Kohen and the garments worn by the Kohen Gadol. The Ramban points out an exception, a rather jarring exception to this sequence, which is the placement of the Mizbeach HaKtoros in these parshiyos. And the Mizbeach HaKtoros is listed all the way at the end of Parshas Tezaveh, after Shvi, and after Hashem says, V'nikdash b'chvaydi, Hashem says that His divine presence, His Shechina, is going to rest in the Mishkan amongst the Bnei Yisrael. And the Ramban says that this is obviously a very strong message, that somehow the Mizbeach HaKtoros represents the core element, so to speak. Everything that the Mishkan was all about was about this Mizbeach HaKtoros. So after everything was set up and after the Kohanim were all dressed, that's where the action is, as we say. That's where the real service of Hashem was. I'd like to offer an insight into this and perhaps explain why this is so integral. There were two Mizbeachos. The Mizbeach HaNechoshes, the Mizbeach which made of copper, was placed outside the Oyel Moed, in the Chutzner, in the courtyard. It was filled with earth and animal sacrifices were brought upon it. On the other hand, the Mizbeach HaKtoros was placed inside the Oyel Moed. It was much smaller, it was made out of gold, and it was hollow inside. I'd like to suggest that the Mizbeach HaChitzon, the Mizbeach HaNechoshes, the Mizbeach that was outside, was filled with earth, and animal sacrifices were brought upon it to represent the fact that that was the notion that we should devote a component of a material success to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that the material realm should also have a component of Hashem's service there. However, the Mizbeach HaKtoros represents the real service of Hashem that goes on within our very core, within our soul. That's perhaps why it was hollow. David HaMelech says that V'libi chalal b'kirbi, my heart was hollow inside. What did he mean by that? I'd like to suggest that what he was saying is that we should carve out a place in our hearts for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that wherever we go with our human body, inside that we should always devote a place in our soul for the presence of Hashem. And that's why the Mizbeach HaKtoros was so core, and that's why it was such a component of essential tefillah. That's the place where we should carry around with us, Belovavi Mishkan Evne, to build a place in our hearts for the presence of Hashem. Have a wonderful Shabbos.